Hi, yeah, this is Ray Stay on the way with another What If. This will be with Deku at Heaven's Door, part 4. Where we last left off, Deku was getting his letter saying that he got second place in UA exams. After Deku finishes the message, he is glad that he got an UA. Not only that, he's also excited that he got second place. He shows the recording to Sashi and tells his son that he's proud of him. And the fact that he also got second place while helping that girl out too. Deku's thankful for it, but he's also wondering, is it possible that he can use Heaven's Door while in combat? When Inko hears the news, she hugs her son tightly and begins to prepare a big meal. While Inko's doing that, Asashi begins to think. Then he basically asks his son, is it possible you can use your ability on someone in combat? Like, make them stop trying to hit you or lead them into a different direction? Deku tells them, I'm not sure if I can stop them from hitting me, since they're probably going to be faster than me and bashing my skull. But using it to try to mislead people and put them in a different direction, yeah. And Hisashi wondered, like, how do you know that? Deku shyly says, I've been using it on Kachan, and she's been trying to chase me. Hisashi looks at his son and says, Azuku, in a menacing tone. Deku responds, wait, you're forgetting who I'm talking about. It's Bakugo. Hisashi says, I understand, but still, how many times have you been using it on him? Deku tells him, not that much. I've been mostly outrunning him. But whenever he tries to use this quirk to catch up with me, that's when I begin to use it. So, on a rare occasion. Hisashi tells him, well, has he said anything about your ability? Deku said, when I first showed it off to him, he didn't really notice it. I didn't actually show it to him. I just tried to put it in his face. He never saw anything. So, still, no one else can see it but me. Hisashi sighs in relief, saying, okay, so that means no one can really see it then. Hisashi said, so, Izuku, is it possible you could describe it to me, your ability? Deku looked at his father saying, Dad, I already told you how my ability worked. Hisashi said, no. What I meant by your ability, you said, like, you saw a little person, right? Can you describe what that person looked like? Deku says, you know what, Dad? I can do much better. Mom, can you grab my suitcase? Inko basically looks at him and says, which one? He says, the one I used to work with. Inko tells him, okay, coming right up. A few minutes later, she grabs his suitcase and gives it to him. Before she goes back into the kitchen, she gives him one more hug. Deku says, Mom, in embarrassment. After the quick hug, she goes right back in the kitchen to prepare the meal. Deku begins to open his suitcase and grabs a pen and paper and begins to draw what Heaven's Door looked like to his father. After Deku's done drawing Heaven's Door, he shows his father what his quirk looked like. Hisashi looks at the picture and says, so that's what the little guy looks like. By the way, he also has a very interesting taste in fashion. I like it. Hey, maybe you should wear a suit like this one day. Deku tells him thank you. Hisashi says, okay, just in case, let's do a recap. This arrow can give you this ability, right? Deku nods his head, telling him, yeah, I got stabbed by it. So Hisashi is wondering, can anybody have this? Deku tells him, no, I don't think so, because I heard things about people getting shot the arrow and dying from it. Deku tells him, maybe it's something about luck or something, I'm not really sure. Hisashi looks at the arrow and turns it, so it's saying an old-timey Russian roulette. 6 chambers, 1 bullet. He begins to look at the arrow a lot closer and whispers, a 10% chance you might get killed. A 50% chance you might live. Hisashi looks at the arrow and tells his son, what will happen if you think I get stabbed by it? Will I get the exact same ability you'll have? Deku basically looks at his father wondering, but shrugs it off and says, Deku tells his father, I'm not quite sure since you already know what my ability is all about. And the guy who shot me with this arrow, his was based around electricity. So, I'm not really sure. It's so bizarre. Hisashi said maybe it's based around someone's personality because it can't be because of what he wants. Because if everyone had this ability, then everyone wants the equal strength somewhat close to All Might. But instead, you said the person had electricity and you got this. So it has to be around personality. Deku said, but what if they're based around someone's mental state? Hisashi tells him, well, it's going to be a while. So until then, we have to wait until the pros catch him. Deku says, well, if they catch him. And I said, hey, have some faith. Hisashi puts down the arrow and he says, alright, let's change the subject. Well, since you got the UA and you got second place, let's go over your skills just in case so you can be prepared. So when you get to UA, Deku tells him, alright, so what are we going to do today? So she tells him, I'm not sure, but we'll figure out later on. Oh yeah, that reminds me, we should take you down to the quirk doctor so you can, to register that quirk you are so the UA won't think you're quirkless. Deku tells them, you know they let quirky people in the school now, right? Asashi tells them, yes, but your ability, they need to know about it. Deku said, well, how do I explain my ability is this invisible man right here. You can't see it, but only I can. Asashi tells him, you don't have to explain that part. Asashi tells him, you don't have to explain the little person that you can only see. All you need to explain is what that little person can do as your main ability. They can't see it, so they need to explain what it is. In sense of what it actually is, it's basically more like mind reading. So, yeah, you can mind read. All you need to do is figure out how to get that up there, and bada bing, bada boom. Deku tells him, that sounds great, but there's like one problem though. The extra joint in my pinky toe. How am I going to explain that to the doctor while saying I have a quirk? Hisashi tells him, well, it's perfect. Just use your ability on someone. They won't really notice it until you use it. Then read back what their thoughts are. Deku looks at his father dumbfounded, saying, why haven't I thought about that before? Hisashi tells him, you could have did that between your training and working with me. So let's hurry up and get to it. Now you got to wonder, how come Deku was able to use his ability at the police station? Well, since it's a stand, not many people can see it. And for some that basically wondering how Deku's able to get the notes, are mostly okay with it since Hisashi tells them how the ability works. And since it's not really harming people, in fact, speeding up their process of their work, they're going to let it slide until he actually gets it registered. After going to the quirk doctor and his quirk registered, he basically waits for a few days to get in the UA. After a few days have passed, Deku gets put on his UA outfit while his father drops him off at school. When Deku enters the building, he begins to speed walk through the hallway until he finds class 1A. When Deku gets to room 1A, he gets to notice how big the door is. He shrugs it off and opens the door, and the first thing he notices is two people yelling at each other. The boy with blue hair and glasses tells Bakugo to take his feet off the desk, since it's a sign of disrespecting the school. Bakugo, annoyed, says that in a few minutes if you don't shut up, I'm going to murder you. Ida backs up saying, you threaten your own classmate? Bakugo says, if you don't shut up, you're not going to be one. After Deku sees this, he basically looks around and sees what type of seat he should sit in. But before Deku can even decide where to sit, he feels a tap on his shoulder. He turns around and sees that brown-haired girl that he saved during the exams. The brown-haired girl speaks to Deku, telling him, thank you for rescuing me. My name is Otaku, by the way. Deku responds with, my name is Suzuku. And how's your ankle? He either noticed Deku from the exam and begins to walk towards him. But before he can say anything else, Aizawa tells him, y'all been talking way too much. Everyone is confused and begins to look around until Aizawa begins to stand up, telling him it took y'all too long to be quiet. He begins to climb out of his sleeping bag and pulls some clothes out. They tell him these are your gym uniforms. Put these on and meet me outside. Now when they go to the changing room, everything else happens the same. But when Mineta basically sees a hole in the wall, seeing that it leads to the girl's side, Deku begins to walk up closer and use Heaven's Door real quick. Now when Deku walks closer and closer with Heaven's Door, Mineta begins to ramble on, saying that he's basically trying to get a sneak peek. So Deku goes up and basically pretends like he's looking through the hole. But in reality, he's basically using Heaven's Door to open up Mineta's head so he can see the page. And once he sees it, he pulls it out really quickly and crumbles it up. No one really notices since this is Mineta and it's also their first day, so they're not trying to let things get out of hand. They only really notice it when Mineta says what's going on. Everyone else look at Mineta confused. Deku tells them, oh, we just need to change our clothes since Aizawa wants to meet us outside for some reason. Mineta tells him, okay. Deku has his back up against the poster that's on the wall, and he feels something poking on the other side. He's basically wondering what it is, so he basically begins to back up away from it. Once the thing noticed that it was there, it begins to move away from the hole. While Deku was changing, his mind begins to wondering, since that's connected to the girl's room, he's wondering who quirk was that? If so, what were they going to do to Mineta, and how much damage would it do to him? Now Deku's mind begins to wander until one of the students says, "Hey, that was calling us, so we need to get out there." Deku tells him, "Oh, sorry about that. Thank you." The kid looks at him and tells him, "My name's Kirishima." Once Deku gets outside, he begins to look at the girls, wondering who Quirk was that was peeking through the hole. Deku begins to look at the girls until he notices one of them that has headphone jacks a part of the earlobe, saying that's probably her, but just in case. Aizawa tells him, "Alright, it's time for a Quirk apprehension test." One of the girls tells him, "Wait a minute, what orientation?" Aizawa looks at him and tells him, "Well, y'all trying to become heroes, so I might as well speed up the process. Plus, my class, my rules." Before we get back to the story, I need to explain two things about Deku ripping off Minetta's paper. If you're wondering, he did not take out a full page. He took out a certain chunk of it, enough to where Minetta noticed the hole in the wall. That's where he started tearing, and everything else stayed intact. Well, if you're wondering why did Deku not just erase it, well, they were in the change room, and Deku had nothing else to write with. After doing that, he decided to keep pens or pencil with him everywhere he goes. As has been explained, let's get back into the story. Now, when it comes to the scores, everyone's score is the same except for Deku's, since he's more physically built since he's been training most of his life. Now, when it comes to the ball throw, Deku will get a little bit high average, since he doesn't have one for all to boost his physical strength, but he also has been training most of his life, so yeah. Bakugo gets annoyed and runs up to Deku saying, "How does a quirkless person like you ever get in the way?" When Aizawa was about to wrap Bakugo up, Deku kicks him right in the face, spinning him, basically telling him, "I do have a quirk, mine's just not as flashy as everyone else's, but I still have one though, and I deserve to be here, unlike you. So if you got a problem with me..." Deku walks up closer and tells him, "What, you afraid of getting shown up by someone with a non-flashy quirk? Well, newsflash, you're not special," and begins to walk off. Aizawa would scold Deku for doing it, but since of who Bakugo is and how he acts, he gonna let that one slide and let that ring through his head. But he wraps Deku's arm up, basically telling him, "Hold up, you have to come here." Aizawa tells him, "You're not in trouble, but later on, I want you to stay with me so he can take you to the principal's office." Deku tells him, "But what about the test?" Aizawa looks at the other students and tells them, "Well, I was gonna expel y'all if y'all didn't have potential, but since y'all do, y'all can stay." Alright, this is where we're gonna end things off. Sorry it's been so long. I just got distracted. Hope you enjoy, and see you on the next one.